All right, another video book review. This one is for Alexander Pushkin's Captain's Daughter. Now, this is the third foray into that I've had into like classic Russian literature. First being Brothers Karamazov by Dostoevsky, and then Hero of Our Time by Lermontov. And this one was, I'd say, up there in quality, but it wasn't quite meeting either of those for a couple reasons. Now, this one really excelled and I think was better than those other two in the way that the story was more cohesive, and the characters that you meet and the conflicts that arise and all of that is all interconnected and related, and characters that you meet, that are unique and interesting characters along the path, along the journey, they come up later and they matter. Now, in other books, the other books that I've read, a lot of that stuff, a lot of the stories are vignettes, little short stories kind of loosely tied together. Or if they're tied together like Brothers Karamazov, there's a lot of like things that are disconnected, it seems. A lot of characters that are disconnected from one another, and they're just like one-off characters, right? And this, again, was all cohesive, and it felt the most tightly scripted, I want to say, but, tightly paced, tightly, woven. And I liked that about that. And it was a feel-good story, really. There was a lot of twists and turns, and it was expertly done in that way. And I really liked that. The characters all had their good motivations. But it also felt like a fable in a lot of ways because, there was, with the romance, there was a lot of the fairy tale aspect in that way. It wasn't like a super fleshed out romance. It was the hero saving the captured princess kind of vibe as the romance. And the captain's daughter, I didn't really get much from her, too much, other than that, she was set up one way and was kind of different enough so that, that's good. But I didn't get the romance. I didn't get the actual burgeoning romance. I didn't get the reason why our main character fell in love with her. Really, it kind of just happened where you're told over time, oh, the guy loves her now. So it wasn't really crazy satisfying in that way. And when, the rescue stuff have to happen, or the conflict where she's kind of taken by somebody, and behind enemy lines, I don't really care too much about the relationship. I care because it is a relationship with our main character and, someone else, and it's a wholesome thing. So you hope in that way, for success, but I didn't really care too much about the relationship. And just romance in general in books, I just care less about, right? So that kind of hurts it in a lot of aspects. When I'm looking into classics, I don't really want romance. I want deep philosophical questions. I want beautiful prose. I want, questioning human nature and delving deep into the nature of man, which is always something that, especially with Dostoevsky and Lermontov, like that scratched every itch there, and I loved both books. But with this, you get a good prose. I don't know if the translator is bad, or not even bad, just less skilled than the prior two, or if just Pushkin in general was less flowery and less good with his prose, and it was more just how I saw it, and it was good. It wasn't bad. It just wasn't up to Lermontov or Dostoevsky. But while Dostoevsky and Lermontov do have those asides and vignettes, from what I've seen, I can't speak on a whole, they're still better in the sense of just the exquisite writing that they have comparatively. Now, I would compare Pushkin's writing style to a more modern feel. It was definitely more modern. It was easier to digest than either of those other two, but the payoff was just so much better with those other two. So it was a good book, a good foray into, I guess, Russian classic literature. I would want to try more Pushkin, at least one more, just to get a sense and say, okay, this is him. Maybe a different translator too. This is him. This is how he writes. And I would rather maybe push more into Dostoevsky or Lermontov, right? And I do need to try Tolstoy next, and there's a few others out there that I can't remember the names of that are part of the, you know, the Silver Age or the Gilded Age of Russian literature. I forget there's different levels there based on time period and such. But I know Pushkin is a classic. Did like the story. Again, it was more like a fable, fairy tale. It was good, feeling good. Hero comes out on top. But yeah, good story. And one that I would recommend for sure. Yeah. And with that, that's it. Right? That's it. I'd give it an 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10 for sure. And yeah, with that, on to the next book.